Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. FPL Consult here. This is, I think, the first ever actual deadline stream because the deadline is actually in 1.5 hours, right? So pretty exciting, right? Nice to see some of you guys in the chat already. Thanks for coming early. Whitney, Bosco as well, AJ. Sufkaran has asked, Reece James confirmed out. Yeah, there is news that Reece James is out. I think I should start this stream with talking a little bit about that. Right, so let me change the screen. Yes, so a lot of you guys have already asked if Reece James is out. Right, so this is the actual source. So Simon Phillips is actually a correspondent for Chelsea, right? 300 over 1,000 followers. So based on this, he's already said that he's received news that Reece James won't be risked tonight, right? Precautionary, not serious. But I think a lot of people on Twitter that I've already seen are thinking of bringing James out because you have two free transfers, right? Some of you guys are in those spots where you have two free transfers. And now Reece James is injured, and if you look at his next few fixtures as well, if you're wildcarding in game week 9, then it may not make sense for you to still keep Reece James. So a lot of the other some content creators as well, right? They are thinking of moving Reece James out, right? But that may potentially he potentially would play still, right? It says precautionary, not serious, so he could potentially still play, right? So for my own team, right? Let me pull up my team. I've already made a transfer. So my transfer is Neto to Pascal Gross. So as of now, I don't have any free transfers in the bank, and I think I'm pretty alright with Andreas coming in actually. Yeah. I would kind of wait a little while to see what the nature of the injury actually is. Right, but for now, Reece James would still stay in my team. But for those of you guys who have two free transfers, I think you could potentially move Reece James out. Right, there are quite a number of options, and some people have also mentioned about taking Reece James out, maybe bringing in a Brighton defender, and then taking Cancelo out and bringing in Reece James next game week if he is actually fit. Right, so those are possible moves that you guys can make. Right. Hi Jonathan. I am the Lemon. AJ, Rihan as well. Should I start Tony or Martinelli? Both. I feel like you should start both. If you're thinking about benching either one, then I guess the other there possibly are other players that you can bench in your team. I would just leave him in my start. You're asking if I want to leave James in my team, right? Or if I'm gonna bench him. I think I'll just leave him in my starting 11, and then Andreas would just come in automatically to swap. Right, AJ says I already did my transfers though. Saka to Martinelli, Neto to Harrison. Yeah, those are good transfers as well. Right, you can just keep Reece James. I think nothing too much to worry about because it is precautionary, right? And come game week, I think game week 7, if I'm not wrong, they play Fulham, so that's a decent fixture as well, right? And in terms of the underlying numbers as well, Reece James has been up there in terms of attacking stats, right? So let's not forget that Reece James is a good attacking asset, right? Rihan says, "Who should I captain?" Right, we'll cover captaincy in a bit. Right. As of now, my captaincy selection is still Haaland. Right, but I think for those of you on this channel, or if you're new to the channel, in the team selection videos, I always do this rubric or this metric, and the metric has chosen Haaland again. Right, but the problem is as usual whether he's gonna get minutes or not. So I'm gonna pull up the Man City fixture schedule in a bit, and you can see kind of guess when Haaland is going to play, and then decide whether I actually want to stick with Haaland as my captain or not. I think I'm going to stream until the deadline. So this is my first time streaming until the deadline, so hopefully I don't overrun. Right, if you guys can help me keep a lookout. It's currently, I think, an hour 20 minutes away from the deadline, so hopefully we don't get carried away. Are you gonna bench James this week? Yeah, I'll start him, and then Andreas will just come in. I literally had no players that I wanted to bench, so now should I start Tony and Martinelli and bench James? Yeah, I mean definitely honestly, even if you leave James in your team, he's not gonna play. Like he's not even in the I feel like he's not even on the bench. right? So I mean, based on what a lot of the news on Twitter is saying, right? He hasn't even traveled to Southampton, right? So yeah, one free transfer, bench Reece James or transfer to Dunk or just sub for Pereira. Um, I feel like at this point it depends on your team, right? As I said just now, you can take Reece James out, right? But he's gonna come back in game week, come the weekend, right? So game week 6 he's gonna come back. So I feel like those of you who have like 2 free transfers, you can consider taking Reece James out. But if you just have that 1 free transfer, I don't think it's actually a move that's absolutely necessary. The rubrics are always confirming I've got this cyclophobia. Well, Bosco, later I'll pull up the rubrics, right? And I'll kind of explain why I think I'm gonna go with Haaland, right? I feel like based on my at least my predictions on when Haaland is gonna play, I feel like he would start in game week 5, right? But don't quote me on this because it's impossible to predict Pep Roulette, but I think it's possible that Haaland starts. Right, I'll give you guys my reasoning later. Right, seeing the Gundogan injury news, yeah. So the reason why, which is kind of comforting for me as a Gundogan owner, right? The reason why he didn't play, or he didn't start against Crystal Palace was because Pep said there were some niggles, right? So I feel like potentially he is, a regular starter. I would feel, right, based on what he said, and because of that, right, that gives me confidence, all the more confidence if I didn't already have that Gundogan is going to start against Nottingham Forest. And yeah, I'm honestly hoping for a whole this game week for Gundogan because, as you guys know, 2 game weeks ago I brought him in, right, just so that he can be that differential for me, kind of gain some rank. Right, I think he's kind of under the radar a little bit, so it's pretty good. Mitrovic versus Sanchez. I feel like I have a feeling, right, that Fulham may grab a few goals. Like maybe that odd goal, like maybe one. I feel like that with the form that Mitrovic is in, I feel like I potentially see Brighton's clean sheet getting wiped out. Surav Saha says long time left for a deadline. Stopping to say hi from Philadelphia. Nice to meet you. I think Surav, you were the winner of the FPL Consult YouTube League last season, if I'm not wrong, right? So really amazing stuff. Hope you are doing well this game week as well. Right, so let's pull up the Manchester City fixture schedule and kind of work out when Pep is going to rest Haaland. Right. Ooh, apologies for that. Alright, so as you guys can see, they just played Crystal Palace here. Right, so obviously they won 4-2, right? And now they're going to play Nottingham Forest on Thursday, right? Then there's Aston Villa on Sunday, and after that, right, the Champions League kicks in already, right? They have Sevilla, then they have Tottenham in the Premier League, and then they play Dortmund again, right? So let's not look too far, right? We try to kind of work out when Pep is going to start Haaland, right? So if I'm Pep, right, I'm gonna put myself in his shoes, right? It's impossible to predict, right? But hopefully let's try, right? So obviously we know that Pep is gonna prioritize the Champions League, right? So I'm gonna say that against Dortmund and against Sevilla, he's going to start Haaland, right? And obviously against Tottenham as well, that's a tough game. So I expect Haaland to start against Sevilla, against Tottenham and Dortmund. So if he's going to play 3 games in a row, then it honestly would just make complete sense for Pep to bench Haaland against Aston Villa. And just simply going by that logic, if he's going to be benched this weekend against Aston Villa, then it just makes sense for him to play the Nottingham Forest game, right? Even if it's just 60 minutes and then potentially get subbed out, right, for maybe Alvarez or something. So I actually feel like there's a good chance, right? So one of the things about not captaining Haaland as well, right, is let's say he starts against Nottingham Forest. How I feel like I would not be able to take watching the Manchester City game because that's just gonna be crazy, right? Nottingham Forest are expected are the worst for expected goals conceded, And Manchester City are, as we know, right, creating so many chances. And so I could see Man City actually kind of running over Nottingham Forest like how Liverpool did to Bournemouth. Right, so if that happens, I'm gonna assume that Haaland, if he starts, right, it's just gonna be at the forefront of that. Then I'm just gonna be way behind, right, people who captain Haaland. And if you compare to Salah, who's having his fixture is at Anfield, but he's playing Newcastle, who are a much better defense. So I don't expect like many goals against Newcastle, right? So maybe a 1-0, 2-0 kind of game. And I feel like it's all right to take a chance on Haaland actually maybe playing 60 minutes and then possibly getting his returns. But there's a couple of outcomes that I've worked out, right? So let's say Haaland actually doesn't start, right? He comes on for 30 minutes. Am I alright with that? I think he could get some returns there as well, right? Let's say he doesn't start at all. My vice captain will be on Salah, so no issues there. Let's say he starts, which is the ideal case, then that's just a windfall, right? So I don't see much downside actually to captaining Haaland, and that's why at this point, right, if you guys can see, my captaincy armband is still on Haaland. Yeah, it's unpredictable. But now considering more and more captaincy choices like Rodrigo, Jesus, and Kane. Okay, alright. I think it's time to bring up the captaincy rubrics. So on this channel, right? I try to do this captaincy rubrics every week, right? To kind of see statistically wise, right, who is the best captain. So based on last game week, I know Salah could have scored more, etc., 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 but the metrics were correct that Haaland would do well, right? Ignore Salah for a while, right? Independently, based on the metrics last week, Haaland was expected to do really well, right? And he did. He got 17 points, right? So this week I feel like it's a little bit different, right? This week the issue is not so much of if we knew that Haaland was going to start in Gameweek 5 against Nottingham Forest, then it's a no-brainer that Haaland will be the captain, right? But the issue is the minutes that we're talking about. So yeah, just based on the kind of explanation that I gave just now, I feel like there's a good chance that that Haaland actually starts against Nottingham Forest, right? So yeah, I think statistically wise, there's no real need to kind of see the stats, because we already know that Haaland is going to top everything, right? His expected goals per 90 blows everyone away. It's 1.33, right? His expected assists per 90 not that great, right? The expected goal involvement is the highest, right? Expected points also the highest. Projected points he's second, right? Because KDB is actually first, right? And then team stats wise, obviously Man City's team stats are really good, really really good. Yeah. I'm the Lemon says my team is Edison, Saliba, Trent, Cancelo, Martinelli, Gross, Rodrigo, Tony, Helen captain. Yeah, I think that team kind of looks like the template team a little bit. Team is Allison. Safwan says my team is Allison, Trent, Cancelo, Robertson, Kukurea, Perisic, Martinelli, Son, Odegaard, Jesus, Haaland. Where do I fit Neto? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I don't think there's a need to start Neto. Yeah, I actually took him out because as much as Bournemouth's defense isn't that good, right? Wolves' attack is actually quite terrible, right? So yes, he potentially could have gotten an assist, but I'm really not fancying Neto against Bournemouth away, right? Even though Bournemouth defense isn't that good, but they're playing at home, right? And I just have this feeling that I don't really like Wolves' attack at the moment. Yeah, watching them play against Newcastle, they just didn't play very well at all. Eddie Mac says just transferred in Diaz, out James. Yeah, that's fine. Finn Cox Harrison says Robertson, Mitoma, Archer, Estupinian, Gross, and Bremo for -4. Yeah, I think in the long run that actually makes sense. Yeah, in the long run I would take that -4. Ian says Forest are not as bad as you think. They put up decent fight against Spurs. Yeah, I mean they went on the front foot, right? They tried to take the game to Spurs, but I honestly feel like if they do that against Manchester City, right, they are in for, yeah, they're in for it. They're in for maybe a 9-0. I don't think they can play the same way that they played against Spurs, against City. Right, that's just insane. Right. In fact, if they do play that way, right, then there's so much space at the back, right? I'm sure Man City is going to capitalize on that. Sean says transfer Andreas for Rodrigo or Neto for Rodrigo. Definitely Neto for Rodrigo. Yeah, Andreas is really good as a bench option. Plus, he's just 4.5, right? Neto actually keeps some budget there. So if you actually do Neto to Rodrigo, then you have more funds elsewhere, right? As opposed to keeping like Neto on the bench for 5.3 mil. I'd rather have a 4.5 mil bench option. Right, Andre says, indeed, the only issue is the rubrics doesn't account for rotation midweek. Yeah, the only metric in the rubrics that accounts for that is the projected points. So the projected points for Haaland, right? Yeah, I'll pull up the Fantasy Football Hub one because that's where all the data comes from. Right, this is where all the data for the captaincy rubrics actually comes from. Right. Haaland is actually predicted to play 70 minutes. You can actually see at the bottom of the predicted points. Right, I'm highlighting it now. Right, Haaland is actually predicted to play 70 minutes. I'm not sure if you guys can see if it's clear enough. Right, but 70 minutes. Right, so which is something that I actually think he probably would get as well. Right, because I think he's going to start in Gameweek 5 and then get subbed off around 60-70 minutes and then get rested against Villa and play the next 3 games. Yeah, so I mean, funnily enough, right, De Bruyne is top, right? Maybe because he's expected to play longer as well, right? 80 minutes. Salah is actually on similar predicted points, right? But something to consider as well is that 70 minutes, Haaland is predicted to get 7.4 predicted points. But in 90 minutes, Salah is predicted to also get 7.4 predicted points. So fixtures wise, Newcastle is definitely a better defense. Yeah. Philip says put James ahead of Bailey on the bench if I play Pereira. Honestly, it doesn't make a difference. Because James isn't even in the squad. But if you want to be safe, in fact, I'm actually starting James in my. I'm leaving my team as it is. Right? I'm not even going to bring James down to the bench. So, if I were you, I put James in the starting 11. I put Pereira in as well. Right, Ben Bailey on the bench. Do you do any transfers this game week, Ali Mac? I did Neto to Gross, right? So before his price rises, his price is actually expected to rise after today's games. So because of that, I actually considered, right, keeping Neto for one more game week, but I think I as I've said, right, I don't really fancy Wolves' attack at the moment, no matter how bad Bournemouth's attack is. Right, so that's why Neto out, right, and Gross in, right, and it's a long-term move. I think I'm gonna keep Gross for a pretty long time. Sean says, sorry, maybe I wasn't clear. Intending to play 3-5-2 and starting either Andreas or Neto. Wolves facing Bournemouth tonight. I see. Then Wolves. Yeah. Then I would start Neto. Yeah, if I was to choose whether to start Neto or Andreas, then I would start Neto. Yeah. Bosco says from the news, it seems like Trippier should be okay to play, so Salah might not be able to score much. So now I need to pick my captain between Jesus and Rodrigo. Personal thoughts on that. Right, so I'm assuming you don't have Haaland as well. And Trippier, as you said, right, is okay to play. So Newcastle's defense, right, I would still say is pretty solid. Picking between Jesus and Rodrigo. Right. Yashpal also says, right, what's your view of Rodrigo as a captain? Right, let's take a look at the rubrics again. Rodrigo is actually based on his stats, right? It's pretty low, right? But I think the fact that he's still in this rubrics means that I actually did consider him as one of the better options for captaincy this week. But honestly, if I had Salah, I probably would do Salah. Right. I think the captaincy this week is just gonna be is gonna be very close between Haaland and Salah again. Right. I think majority would still captain Haaland. Right. Salah close behind, and then all the other options with low percentages of captaincy. But in terms of Rodrigo as a captaincy pick itself, right? I think based on his statistics, he has been doing pretty well, right? But if you compare to the other captaincy options that we have, right? Actually, Jesus is an even better captaincy option than Rodrigo, right? If you have Jesus, I think Jesus against Aston Villa at home, with the way that Villa have been with the way Villa have been playing, I'm just not impressed by them at all, right? And Gerrard is under so much pressure, so I really think that Jesus is a better option than Rodrigo. But then again, they are really close, right? Expected goals per 90, Rodrigo is a little bit better, 0.63 for Rodrigo. Expected goal involvement as well, but the expected points also, right? But just the team statistics is what is putting Jesus a little higher. Um, it's tough. I think it's really really close if you're considering Jesus or Rodrigo, but I think I would go with Jesus. If you're doing Rodrigo, it's definitely a punt. Yeah, it's definitely a punt. Rodrigo, Patterson in, James and Lavia out. What do you think? Mm, I would actually prefer Rodrigo and Neco Williams instead of Rodrigo and Patterson. So if you can do um, Neco Williams, then that would be a little bit better. Theo Jones says I'm captaining Rodrigo. Yeah, I mean for a punt, I honestly think for a punt, right, it is okay. It is alright for a punt. That's of course assuming that you don't have the other captaincy options, right? Because the other captaincy options have really good projected points and stats as well. Right. I think one of the things that I like to do on the deadline streams, right, but hopefully it doesn't hopefully it helps you guys, right, is the odds, is the draft sound odds. And some of you guys have actually fed back that the odds are quite helpful for you. Right. So I'll pull up the odds. Game week 5, right? So based on the Game Week 5 fixtures, right, 93% for Man City to win, right, 78%. Right, Arsenal is also really high up. That is why Jesus is actually a decent captaincy option as well. Right, Chelsea at home, Chelsea away to Southampton, 62%. Right, Spurs away to West Ham, 51%. Right, Palace is actually pretty high up as well. Right, and then Leeds 48% to win. So clean sheets wise, oh sorry, oh they've gone premium. All right, so I guess we just have the um, I guess we just have the odds for the results of the game, right? So I mean, based on this as well, I kind of use this to make some small little decisions, right? As take for example, Sean was asking about Neto or Andreas to start, right? So I just use the odds, right? So if I see that Wolves are predicted to do a little bit better against Bournemouth away, right, 47% to win, right, as opposed to Fulham, who are 31% to win Brighton, then that's kind of it's a small margin, right? But I think these small little decisions we can kind of use stats to help us. So that's why I said Neto ahead of Andreas. Yeah, so I'll leave this on the screen for a while. I hope it helps you guys. Jacob says Neko is 4.1. I can't. If you can't, then then Patterson, I guess, is fine. Yeah. I've heard Jesus would be benched. I haven't heard anything about that though. If you have a source, you could let me know. I would be interested to know. Thoughts on people selling Salah? Uh, I, I feel like that I would never actually. It hasn't even crossed my mind to sell Salah even after last week. Right, his numbers are still good. Right, if you compare his numbers, I did just a small little comparison, to actually kind of work out whether those people making the moves have stats to back it up. Right, his numbers for the first 4 game weeks are pretty much the same as his numbers for the whole of last season. So I don't see the real need to actually get rid of Salah. Plus, on top of that, if you get rid of Salah, right, where else are you going to spend that money? There's going to be so much extra funds that at this point I feel like the template or just the the majority of our teams with the core structure I think is pretty alright. In fact, even before the Reece James injury, a lot of us were just thinking about rolling transfers, right? Because there's literally nothing you need to do. So I don't see the real need to take Salah out as well. Salah, Andreas out for Diaz, Gundogan. Well, Theo, you have your answer there. Salah and Andreas out for Diaz and Gundogan. I guess you still have Liverpool coverage there, and Gundogan, as I said, right, I like that as a punt, but no Salah could be massive. I think there are a couple of people doing really well with no Salah, because last game week, if you didn't have Salah, you just kept either Trent or Haaland, right? So it's looking like it's paying off, and I think maybe that's one of the reasons why people are going for it. But I think Salah, in the long term, with the fixtures he has coming up as well, I think it's really, really tough to sell him. He has Everton away in game week 6 and Wolves at home in game week 7. I honestly cannot see Salah blanking for, I mean, if we count game week 4 as well, right? Game week 4, 5, 6, 7. There's 4 game weeks. I can't see Salah blanking for 4 game weeks in a row. And then there's the odd penalty, right? There's the odd penalty that we can't forget as well. CK says kept Salah or Haaland. I'm on Haaland at the moment, right? Kind of gave a little bit of explanation. I think you can rewind a little bit, but basically I do feel like Haaland is going to start. If he doesn't start, he's going to get a few minutes as well, and he's going to perform well against Nottingham Forest. Bosco says it's kind of a differential on captaining Rodrigo, but I actually like that Villa is a weaker opponent, so maybe I'll go for him. Yeah, it's really close between Jesus and Rodrigo if you're considering those two. Yeah, it's really, really close. Need to swap out Zinchenko, but I can only afford Ben White. Is that fine? I'm assuming you're making other changes with that, and that's why you can only afford Ben White. Right, Ben White is at 4.5, right? But if I am looking for a 4.5 defender, I would go for the Brighton defender, the new one at left wing back. I think his name is pronounced Estupinian, if I'm not right. Yeah, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, I will go for him instead of Ben White. Should I start Ignory or Saliba or Danny Welbeck? Saliba definitely. Ignory. Wow, actually this is tough. Maybe 8 Nuri, because Bournemouth aren't really that good as an attacking threat. Saliba as well. I think Welbeck has been blanking if I'm not wrong, right? But against Fulham, I mean, this is tough. Probably maybe bench 8 Nuri. Tough. Really, really tough. Best midfielder for 5.5 mil? Aronson. Definitely Aronson. I'm captaining Jensen. Elf, that is the mega differential there. Jacob says Andreas or Zinchenko this game week. I think Zinchenko is injured. I think he is still injured if I'm not wrong. Right. But if he is fit, I think what you can do if you're not transferring him out is just keep him in your starting 11 and then put Andreas first on the bench, and if Zinchenko doesn't start, then Andreas will just come in. Andreas out for gross for a -4 hit. Is there no one else you can take out for gross, George? Because I think Andreas should still be a hold. Andreas is the best 4.5 bench fodder. Really, really the best. Wouldn't take him out for anyone. Should I start Nuri Saliba? Dave, that is a tough one. Again, maybe I think about it for another 10 seconds. Nuri Saliba or Danny Welbeck. So tough. My mind tells me to bench Danny Welbeck, but my heart just tells me that there's too much money on the bench. Zach says, is Reece James injured? Yeah, Jacob is right. Reece James, he's not I mean based on the quote, right, from Simon Phillips, right? He says Reece James won't be risked tonight, right? Precautionary, not serious. So I guess you can take that as he is slightly injured, or you can also take that as it's just a safety kind of thing, right? So which would then mean that he's gonna play in game week 6. Yeah. Walker or Estupinian? If you have the option, I guess you have a budget of about 5+ mil. Walker definitely has the better defense, right? But Estupinian allows you to spend that money elsewhere. So if you need that money elsewhere, then you can go for Estupinian. But if not, then Walker is definitely the better defense, right? Zach says, so should I get him out? If you have Reece James, and you have like 2 free transfers, I would be very tempted to take him out. But if you just have 1 free transfer, I think you're better off rolling actually, because we're gonna get more information from Gameweek 5 about how the managers are rotating their players, and with that, with more information, if we go into Gameweek 6 with 2 free transfers, that could be gold. Boki says Raya, Cancelo, Trent, Robertson, James, Salah, Martinelli, Gross, Rodrigo, Haaland, per on the bench. If James doesn't play, I think no, wouldn't change anything. I think this team is good. I think this team is good, Boki. Bosco says looking forward to seeing Paqueta playing in West Ham kit. He might be a choice. Yeah, definitely. I think he's an interesting talent, right? We're gonna see him, and hopefully he improves West Ham's attack, because as of now they haven't been looking like the West Ham we know last season, right? Anthony in United as well. He might be a great asset. I think he's a good player, but the price tag, 100 million euros, I think that is a little bit too much, I feel. Right, let's see if he lives up to the price tag. Jeff says hello, nice to see you guys on the screen. Oh yeah, if you guys are here as well, right, please drop a like on the stream. Right, I don't really say this a lot because I kind of forget, but if you guys can just help me to drop a like on the stream, and also subscribe as well if you guys are new, right, that would really massively help the channel. Also, if you guys are interested, you can be channel members, right, just like Bosco in the chat, right? You can be channel members. You get the channel logo next to your name, and also you get custom emojis to use. There's different tiers that you can choose for your memberships if you want to support the channel. Right, so I really appreciate if you guys would like to. If not, that is fine as well. Right, Jenkinson says with 1 free transfer, sell James or just play Yeah, as I said, right, if you have just 1 free transfer, it's better off you're better off saving it, right? James may come back in game week 6, right? It's looking pretty, I mean, based on this tweet as well, right? It's looking pretty certain that James is going to come back in game week 6, and then we would want to start him. Right, so you just play Andreas. I think I'm in a similar position as well. Right, I'm just going to play Andreas. Laurent Tahiri says Cancelo captain. Good shout, but I think based on the reason why I think last season Cancelo was really a decent captaincy shout is because his attacking output was really good. But this season, his attacking output has been so poor. Excuse me. Let me see if I can pull up the statistics for Cancelo. I think it allows me to do 2021 2022 season, right? Oh yeah, yeah, it allows me to. All right, so let's take a look at let's use the site on the left as the 2022 to 2023 one, right? And let's take the site on the right as the previous season, right? So we'll just look one season ago, right, which is the season he really popped off, right? Now look at that. I mean, that from this we can really see, right, that the attacking output for Cancelo based on last season, right? Last season, as a reminder again, is on the right, right? Last season, if you take a look at his heat map, it's just insane, especially in the attacking areas as well, right? If you guys can see, there's this little circle at the left side of the um penalty box in the away side, right? So that's how attacking he was. He was getting such like heavy spots in the attacking half for 2021 2022. So if you compare it to this season, I think you can see he hasn't been getting into the kind of positions that we want him to get into, right? And I think very simply you can just look at the comparison as well, right? I like to use this tool to just simply just compare all the stats, right? And honestly, the red is the season from before, right? Last season, and the stats are just so much better, right? And his I just feel like this season, possibly because of Haaland's introduction, I'm not sure, right? But Cancelo just hasn't looked like the player that he was last season. So there is cause for actually taking him out, right? So if you want to captain him, I think that's another that's another thing altogether, right? But I guess I wouldn't captain him. Yeah. Possibility of Walker game week. All right, let me pull up my team first. Possibility of Walker game week 5, game week 6. I think there's potential rotation incoming for Walker. I mean, based on the predictions on the forums for Manchester City, there is some talk about whether Sergio Gomez, if I'm not wrong, is going to come in at left back, and then Cancelo is going to go at right back. Right? If that happens, then I think Walker is going to give way. So there is actually potential for Walker to be rested. Yeah. Yeah. Jeff says Edison, White, Trent, Cancelo, Dunk, Diaz, Salah, Martinelli, Gross, Jesus, Haaland. Fine. Yeah, I think that's fine. Yeah. Thoughts on giving Leeds player the armband? I mean, if I was gonna give a Leeds player the armband, it'd definitely be Rodrigo. Right, there are a couple of people in the chat already considering captaining Rodrigo. So yeah. Yeah, Bosco also says, right, Rodrigo is the best player to captain in Leeds. I fully agree. Possibility of Martinelli and Lavia starting. I actually think both are going to start. Jeff says, my transfers, James to Dunk and a 4.4 mid to Gross. So you have two free, for a hit I wouldn't, but if you have two free transfers, I think that is a decent move. Yeah. The Gazelle says, do you recommend using Estepinian and Sanchez or Dunk and Meslier/Raya? In general, I don't like to double up on defenses other than the top teams. So I guess, I mean, just my personal preference, but that's why I wouldn't do Estepinian and Sanchez. So in that case, then I would do Dunk and Raya. Yeah, Dunk and Raya. Captain Haaland or Salah, Russell. I'm on Haaland at the moment, right? I think a lot of you guys have been asking. I think Haaland is, if he starts, the best captain, right? If he gets 30 minutes, he could return as well, right? So that's kind of some of the reasons why, right? And Newcastle at home, I don't think is the easiest game for Salah as well, right? Obviously, you guys can go with a bit of your gut feel as well, right? And based on the odds, let's say you use the draft town odds, right? Actually, Manchester City have really good odds to kind of do what Liverpool did to Bournemouth against Forest. So yeah, I think the upside is really great if we captain Haaland. Jesus or Salah for captain. If I'm gonna choose Jesus or Salah, then it would be Salah. No worries, Jeff. Best Brighton defender. 4.5 would be Estupinian, but 4.6 if you can, then Dunk. Harrison or Gross. Could you start both? I think both have really good fixtures this game week. And maybe you can bench someone else. But if I have to choose, maybe Gross. Sell Trippier to Perisic, but worry that Perisic won't start. I think the train for Perisic, or the time to get on Perisic, has already left. I think if you take a look at his coming fixtures, right? West Ham away in Gameweek 5. West Ham away and then Fulham at home, which he may not play, right? It looks like a good fixture, but he may not play. Because if he plays West Ham away, I think he may not play the Fulham game, right? That's what a lot of people on Twitter are saying as well, right? I mean, no guarantee, right? Then Man City away in Game Week 7, right? And then Leicester at home. So Arsenal away as well after that. So I think the train for Perisic has kind of left, right? I got on to him in Game Week 4, so managed to get 6 points. I think there was potential for him to get a double-digit haul as well, right? But obviously Kane missed the penalty. But I do feel like the time to get Perisic has kind of left. So I wouldn't go for Perisic. Right, and let me take a look at the other options that you have. Trippier to Perisic. I guess you can just bench Trippier, but the issue is that you have James, so you do need a replacement. In that case, I like Trippier's fixtures coming up after the Liverpool game, so I would keep Trippier. At his price point, he's good value as well. And then, so I potentially could bring James down actually, right? I would potentially take James out if I were in your position. Team Haaland. Russell is Team Haaland. Liam Lamek says, can you rate my team? Yeah, you just put in the chat. My gut feel is changing every second as a manager with this cytophobia. Yeah, I mean, I took a while to come to this decision, but I think I'm pretty much gonna ignore the noise, kind of rely a bit on my decisions. If it doesn't pay off, I mean, we tried to predict Pep Roulette, the upside was there, right? At least the upside was there. Perisic replacements. I wouldn't get rid of him at the moment, but because I think he starts against West Ham. But if you want to take Perisic out of your team, it's currently at 5.6. I think that there are a couple of good replacements at 5.6. He'll be at 5.5 because you need the price to rise twice before you actually gain the money. So let's take a look at 5.5. There are a couple of options, right? I think Trippier is the best, but he's injured. Emerson Royale, I wouldn't go near him, right? And plus you're taking Perisic out, so yeah. Zinchenko would have been great, right? But he's injured. So I think quite limited with options. Maybe Walker if you are not tripled up on City. If not, Gabriel or Saliba, depending on where you need the funds. Right. Then if you don't have a Brighton keeper like me, right? I have Raya. Then you can go for Dunk, right? 4.6. That's reasonable as well. I think the rest don't really stand out to me. Yeah. That's pretty much, I guess, the Perisic replacements. Edison, Trent, Dunk, Perisic. Almiron to start. You can actually consider taking Zinchenko out actually, right? And then you don't have to start Almiron. You can bench Almiron. He's playing Liverpool, right? Which I don't think they would get a lot of returns. So you can take Zinchenko out, and I think it's a good time, to get maybe a Walker in your team. Yeah, I think that sounds like a decent move. Yeah. Right, let me check if there's any other content that we have planned. We talked about the Man City fixtures. We talked about Cancelo, the odds as well. I think I'll leave the screen at the captaincy rubrics to kind of, for those of you who are coming onto the stream at this time, right, and you haven't seen the rubrics, right? The rubrics are here. Yeah, Taylor said Zinchenko won't play, so then I'll just take Zinchenko out. Right, beside Haaland is a good option. I think you're referring to Julian Alvarez. I wouldn't go for Alvarez just because I think we need to see a little bit more of his minutes. We need to see how he is going to play, how he's going to be used by Pep, and then after that decide. At the moment, I think a little bit too risky. Right. I think this is the first time I've been on stream until the deadline. I'm gonna play around with my team a little bit to see if there are any potential moves that I can make moving forward. I think I'll use the FPL.team app. You guys can use this planner as well, right? It's fpl.team. It's just really, really helpful in transfer planning, right? So just put your ID in, and you get your team on the transfer planner. It's taking a while to load. Just subbed off Zinchenko for... Oh. Alright. Not sure why I can't get into the planner. Alright, then I'll just use the FPL app to play around. I think moving into next week, right? I'm not gonna do anything to Raya. Not gonna do anything to... If James starts as well, I think that's fine. Cancelo, probably a hold as well. I have one free transfer. I think next week, potentially Haaland to Kane, potentially. Because if I'm wildcarding in game week 9, I think there's not going to be a lot more game weeks that Haaland can return for me. But I think definitely a wait and see, right? But Haaland to Kane is one of the moves, and that's kind of one of the reasons why I brought Gundogan in as well. So I have that City coverage. I mean, he essentially is a second striker, right? So Haaland to Kane, one of the moves. I mean, apart from that, I don't see any. There is a potential move I can make, but I don't think that it is a very wise one, right? It's Martinelli up to Rodrigo, but the week after he has Brentford, so I'll be bringing him in for a Brentford game, of which I have Raya in goal. So probably wouldn't do it. If I want to do it, I'll do it this week when he has Everton away. But yeah, aside from that, I don't see any other glaring moves I can make. I have 0.2 in the bank. I most probably would roll the transfer, especially if James comes back. I think there's no need to make any transfers. And Neco Williams has a good fixture. I think there is a double-digit haul coming for Neco Williams. Bournemouth at home, Leeds away, Fulham at home. I think this is where we're gonna see Neco Williams possibly get a double-digit haul. So, I mean, if he can just get more accurate shots, he has been taking good shots, right? Powerful shots, but just not on target. So if he can kind of fix that, I think double-digit hauls are in store for him, right? Assuming he gets clean sheets, of course. Yeah, but Bournemouth at home seems like an okay fixture. Leeds away, I wouldn't say it's the easiest because they are in good form. Right? He probably will concede, but if he gets an attacking return, I don't mind that as well. Then Fulham at home. So potentially, I can actually consider starting Neco Williams next week as well. So he becomes a decent option. So then I have actually 13 playable players, which could be a benching headache. So I think not necessary to make a transfer next week as well. Rumours said James is sick, didn't travel with Chelsea to Southampton. Is that correct? Yep, it is correct. He is most likely not going to feature, right? Earlier in the stream, I showed the source that it's just a precaution, right? And there's rumours that say he's sick. There's rumours that say he is, slightly injured, right? Just a precaution. So my feeling is that he's gonna play in game week 6. Ramsdale and Estupinan or Sanchez and Gabriel. I would lean towards Sanchez and Gabriel. I think Sanchez's save points really adds to his attractiveness, and on top of that, I actually prefer having a 4.5 keeper, right, as compared to a lot of the other premiums, whether it's at 5 mil, whether it's at 5.5, because let's say you have Gabriel at 5 mil and then Sanchez at 4.5. All your money is actually in your outfield players, right? Your keeper is stuck at 4.5 mil. But if you put an extra 0.5 mil in your keeper and get Ramsdale, let's say, right, that 0.5 is stuck there. The extra 0.5 is stuck there unless you take Ramsdale out, right? Which would then mean that you have to make a keeper transfer, which in general I don't like to make. So I would generally lean towards the 4.5 keepers. Haaland captain, bench risk. I mean, I did explain a little bit on this, but I think he is potentially going to. I have a feeling that he's gonna start. Right? I don't want to go live and say that he is gonna start, and then we come back and he doesn't start. Right? I'll be in trouble as well. But I think based on what I feel and what I've worked out, right, based on the fixtures and how I think Pep is gonna use him, he's probably going to start, right? And then if that happens, right, the upside is insane for Haaland. Haaland captain against Nottingham Forest. I think if that happens, we could be swimming in some points there. Best Reece James replacement, 2 free transfers. Yeah. So for those of you with Reece James and you have 2 free transfers, I think it's decent to consider taking Reece James out. Right, Cucurella, Brentford defender, double up Brighton defense. Got 3 Arsenal and City already. I wouldn't double up on Brighton defense. They have a good run of fixtures, but in general, I don't like to double up on defenses that are not top 4, I guess. Even though they haven't been doing well, right? But I guess it's just it's kind of a personal preference, because Brighton they have started well, right? But if they kind of fall down a bit in form, right, then it could carry on. Right, so as compared to, teams like, let's say, Liverpool, who you already know they didn't start really well, but against Bournemouth, you're just still going to keep their defenders because they're just Liverpool. Right, so in general, I wouldn't double up on Brighton defense. So, best Reece James replacement. If you don't have Walker, I'll go for Walker. Cucurella is also a good shout. And it also depends where else you want to spend the funds, right? If you're looking for a cheap defender at 4.5, right, or maybe 4.6 or 4.7, there's Saliba as well, right? And then let's say you're not on Raya, you can go for a Brighton defender. Bosco says, as Tony's facing Crystal Palace, do you think playing 4-4-2, starting Perisic instead of Tony, or playing 3-4-3, starting Tony instead of Perisic? So essentially, you're just talking about whether to start Tony or Perisic. Tough. It's definitely a tough fixture for Perisic, right? West Ham away, right? But Crystal Palace are pretty decent in defense as well. You're gonna get 60 minutes, I guess, with Perisic. 60, 70 minutes. Right? With Tony, you're gonna get 90 minutes. So I think if you weigh the risk, I'd probably lean towards Tony. Right, and also if Perisic goes on to concede against West Ham and then get subbed off in 60, 70 minutes, I think that's a 1 or 2 pointer for him. So I guess Tony's ceiling is a little bit higher. I go for Tony. Oh, I missed a bit of the chats at the top. I just subbed off Zinchenko for I'm going to use much of nothing else I can do right now. Alright. Ben says, is it worth to bring in Gross for Reed for a -4 with the James news? James is going to play in Gameweek 6. I'm pretty certain of that. So, is a -4 worth it? For a -4 to be worth it, Gross is going to have to return. Right? He plays Fulham away. I think that's okay as well. But you may not be able to get James back, right? So that's something you have to weigh. I just feel like there is more value in waiting for more information. And if you want to get James again, you can't possibly take a hit to get him back again. So I'll just wait a little bit, right? And we know his explosiveness, his numbers are still one of the best in terms of all defenders. So if you are talking about taking James out for a hit, I probably wouldn't. I'm captaining Jesus. Fantastic. I think the metrics, the metrics, I want to follow the metrics, but I think sometimes the gut feel as well kind of gets into my head a little bit, right? So that's why I captained Salah last week, which I think in general wasn't a bad decision, right? 9 goals for Liverpool. If you show me the score without telling me the scorers, I would still put my armband on Salah. So I don't think that's necessarily a bad move. Right, but the metrics this week, yes, chosen Haaland. Right, I'm choosing Haaland also based on the amount of minutes I think he's gonna get. So, yeah, pretty alright with Haaland captain. Thanks for subscribing, Young Kiat. Right, those of you who haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe to the channel. Really helps the channel grow as well. KDB or Haaland captain? Well, you have both. If you have both, then the question becomes a little tougher. I think I will go for KDB because he's more guaranteed for minutes. So if I had KDB instead of Gundogan, I'll be captaining KDB. Yeah. Bosco says, I see what you mean. Yeah. I think just thinking a little bit about the moves for next week as well. I'm tempted to roll the transfer. If James comes back, I'm tempted to roll the transfer. If not, I can just put Neco Williams, who has a good fixture next week, in for his Bournemouth at home. Right, I can just bring him in for James. I think that's pretty alright. Yeah. Can't see any other moves that I want to make. Thanks, mate. It would mean that James gets benched this week and Gross comes in, but I don't like taking the -4. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't take the -4 as well. You can bench James. I think I've left James in for now, but he's just gonna be automatically subbed into my team. And Andreas is subbed out of my team, and Andreas is gonna come in. So yeah, I'm just leaving it here so that you guys can see what I started with. And the players I'm going to go in with, but James is not fit. James is not going to play, so Andreas is going to come in. I have actually considered taking Cancelo out. I have actually considered taking Cancelo out, but not this game week for sure, right? But I think the next coming game weeks, if I have 2 free transfers, I'd be very tempted one of the game weeks to come to take Cancelo out. Odegaard or Rodrigo, says Snowball. Rodrigo. Yeah. Just wondering who do you support. I'm a Chelsea fan. Didn't do well against Leeds. Last week was pretty alright. I think the moment I saw Conor Gallagher get sent off, I think I switched the channel to watch the Liverpool game instead. And then surprisingly we won. So I guess I need to have a little bit more faith. I think Leicester in general, I really expected them to kind of hammer us once Conor Gallagher was sent off, but they just didn't click, right? So I guess we took advantage of that. Raheem Sterling is also someone that has come into the mix, right? I do want to try and see if there are ways for me to get Raheem Sterling in. Let's take a look. Let me try and load other transfer planner apps, because the FPL.team one that I'm using just isn't working. Can't get the app up. Alright, I have it. I have it up. Let's take it up. Alright, so this planner is plan.fpl. So this is my team for Gameweek 5. Let's say I take Neto out, which I already have. I bring in Groves. So this is exactly how the team is looking like right now. This is Gameweek 5. So as I was talking a little bit about it just now, Gameweek 6, I don't see any real transfer moves I have to make. Right? Raya has Leeds, Trent has Everton, James, if he plays, has West Ham at home, right? Cancelo has Aston Villa away. Perisic potentially could be rotated, right? But you look at the bench, probably gonna start Neco Williams ahead of Andreas here. It's good. It's a good. I may even, if Perisic is most likely gonna get benched, I can also just do this. Right. I think I'm pretty alright with this team as well. So the plan is to roll the transfer in game week 6. Come game week 7, Raya Southampton. See, Neco Williams has Leeds again. Right. So, and that's when Perisic actually has Man City. So I'm actually well poised for the next couple of game weeks. I can actually bank some transfers. That's of course if I'm alright to keep Neco Williams as a starting player. Perisic plays Man City away, I think pretty tough. But we'll see about that. Let's take a look at the chat. The Gazelle, Haaland or Salah as captain. I would go Haaland, but Salah is going to be a close favourite behind a lot of the other managers are going to be captaining Salah as well. I'm predicting maybe 40% Haaland, 30-something% Salah. James isn't playing. Yeah, James says James isn't playing, right? Yeah, James isn't playing. Yeah, Leicester have been poor, but I like players like Mount, Havertz. Basically, your entire midfield have been shambles completely. Mount even got subbed off at halftime, right? So, hey, can I cap Cancelo? I mean, we did talk a little bit about this. I think you can rewind to the stream, but based on the fixture ticker and also the player comparison, right? Cancelo is no longer the attacking player that we saw last season, so I actually wouldn't captain Cancelo. SK says confident Haaland starts. I guess if I put a percentage to it, I'm like 65-35 that Haaland's gonna start. Yeah. Should I take a -4 just to get Mendy out and Ramsdale in? I wouldn't. Yeah, I definitely wouldn't. Should I do Saint Maximin to Bernardo Silva or Odegaard? Saint Maximin is injured. His fixtures after that are good, but I think because he's a risk, you can take the chance to kind of take some punts right now, especially if you are wildcarding coming up. But I'll talk a little bit about wildcarding with my team later on. But if you're going to choose Bernardo Silva or Odegaard, problem is I'm not sure of Bernardo Silva's minutes as well. Odegaard is like pretty much guaranteed 90 minutes. So I guess it depends when you're wildcarding. Yeah, as I said just now. I think if you're wildcarding soon, Odegaard's a decent punt. Right, long term, maybe Bernardo Silva. Because Odegaard's fixtures don't get good. So let's say you have wildcarded already, then you go for Bernardo Silva. Haaland 2 goals, 13 pointers. Salah scores 1 pen, he could get 11 points. Fair point. But the problem is with 60 minutes, I think Haaland is I see more goals for Haaland. But that is a fair point. That actually makes me think. Because that is true. But I really don't see tough. Salah, Haaland, captain. I think I'm gonna stick with Haaland captain. Yeah, I think I'm gonna stick with Haaland captain. But thanks for reminding me that midfielders do get 1 extra point. They also get the clean sheet point, right? So yeah, captain. I'll captain Haaland. I'll captain Haaland. Yeah. But there's a fair point by SK there. That's a fair point. Down James, Perisic or Arsenal defenders. I think the time to get Perisic is over. So I wouldn't get Perisic. Arsenal defenders. I wouldn't do Arsenal defenders. Alright. I think Saliba is okay. Gabriel is okay. But the problem is, you see, Reece James is a different kind of defensive asset, right? So I think we're sacrificing a lot if we give him up and he starts in game week 6. So I actually wouldn't do it. But if you want to do it, possibly Gabriel, possibly Trippier. But then Trippier, you gotta wait till next game week. I really don't like taking James out this game week, I feel. Right, the only reasonable options I can think about is Walker for James and also Cucurella for James. Right, so pretty much that's it. I got Trippier on the bench, so not too worried about Perisic rotation in coming game weeks. Alright. Then in that case, if you already have Trippier, I go for Walker. I wouldn't even go for Perisic or Arsenal defenders. Yeah. Ben Wilson says James Cucurella from -4 worth it. I don't think it's worth it. I would keep James because I think he's gonna come back next game week. To be honest, I think Haaland plays 90 minutes. If he's rested, he will come against Villa. That's a tough one. If Haaland plays 90 minutes, there's no way I'm not captaining him. Let me pull up my team. If Haaland plays 90 minutes, I think there's no way I'm not captaining him. But okay, let's do a little bit of calculations, right? If he scores a penalty, he does get 5 points, right? And also he gets the clean sheet point, he gets 2 playing points, and then 3 bonus points. That is 11 points, right? But Haaland, you would expect as well, if he scores 2, that he's gonna get 3 bonus, right? I mean, if he scores 2 goals, he's gonna get 3 bonus points as well. So then I guess it's not really 2 goals. I still go for Haaland. Yeah, but that is such a good point. That's such a good point. Assuming James will be out, is it safer to put Andreas sub 1 instead of Dunk due to ownership? I mean, if James is out, I'd very much rather start. I'd rather start Dunk. I think Dunk is much better than Andreas. If I had a choice. Yeah, I'll put Dunk first up. Paqueta at 6 million is like a bargain from Gameweek 7. Yeah, the fixtures actually pick up for West Ham soon, right? But I think it may be a bit too early. Let's take a look at how he plays. I mean, when you come to the Premier League, you have some adjustment. You have an adjustment period. Magical Man 16 says the only options I have on the bench to replace James is Kyle Walker Peters, and Andreas. I mean, for me, I'm bringing in Andreas, right? He's just coming on first up, so I think no real issues there. I'll just go for Andreas as the player to replace James, so I think no issues. James says, I have James, Zinchenko, and Trippier. Should I sell one of them for a -4? Trippier, wow, that's actually a tough spot. James, Zinchenko, and Trippier. I actually would, because you have so many good, you have so much value stuck there. I think I would sell them for a -4. Especially, I would imagine that your bench is pretty thin as well, right? If all of them who are not gonna, I mean, Trippier is playing Liverpool, Zinchenko is injured, James not gonna start. I think it's worth taking a -4 for one of them. I would do Zinchenko though, because he is like out for a longer period of time. But Trippier, I like his fixtures after game week 5, and then James is gonna be back in game week 6. So Matteo Dinardo says Trippier or Saliba. Definitely Saliba this game week. Do you think Rashford will score this weekend? I think Manchester United has Leicester away, whose defense is really poor. But I think Rashford he's a player that has kind of baffled me a little bit. He played so well against Liverpool, and then against if I'm not wrong, Southampton. If I'm not wrong, he didn't play that well. I mean, couple of people brought him in, and he just didn't play as well as we expected. So tough, but I think there's a chance that if he gets into the right spots, but there's also some players coming back, right? If I'm not wrong, I'm not sure about Martial. Is he coming back soon, right? But there's always the threat of Ronaldo coming in instead of Rashford. Trippier or Saliba, not just for this game week, I see. Long term, I'll go Trippier. Yeah. I thought it was for this game week. If it was for this game week, I think definitely Saliba. But long term, I'll go Trippier. SyncXD says, should I buy Haaland for Salah? Buy Haaland for Salah? What do you mean by that? Not sure what you mean by that. Zinchenko for Saliba or Gabriel or Dunk? I think I would do Zinchenko to... Okay, it depends. It depends if you have Sanchez in goal. If you have Sanchez in goal, then I'll go for the other. So there will be Saliba or Gabriel. But if you have Ramsdale in goal, then I go for Dunk. Don't know if I should go bold and captain Bernardo Silva. Between Jesus, Salah or Jesus, who should I captain? The captaincy questions are back again. Alright, let's bring out the rubrics. Okay, let's do a little bit of an analysis. I think I'm also starting to get a little bit jittery. It's close to the deadline, guys. It's 13 minutes to the deadline. I actually haven't gone so close to... this is the first deadline stream. That actual deadline stream. I usually stream on Friday nights, right? You guys know. Alright, so I'll get to the chats in a bit. Just want to analyze the stats a little bit just for myself as well. Haaland, his numbers are just so good. Expected goals per 90, 1.33. Goal involvement, 1.7. Expected points. I think I just can't see Haaland. I can't see him not starting or at least not getting some minutes, right? And let's say, okay, let's weigh the different outcomes. So Salah is gonna get 90 minutes. We know that. Haaland, let's say he starts, right? That's already dreamland. He's gonna get lots of time to get his returns. Let's say Haaland gets 30 minutes and maybe gets a goal or maybe gets an assist. Right, how far off would he be from Salah, who returns? If he gets an assist, he'd probably be 5-6 points. Right, Salah, if he gets a goal, right, would be maybe 11 points. That's like 6 points difference, 5 to 6 points difference, as compared to if we captain, if as compared to if Haaland starts, right? If Haaland starts, then he can get more than just a goal, right? More than just an assist. Right, so maybe I'd say 2 goals, maybe 1 assist, 1 goal, right? And then in the event that Salah blanks as well, that we are holding there. So the ceiling is I feel the ceiling is just much higher for Haaland because Salah has Newcastle at home. I don't think that's as easy a fixture as everyone else who's captaining Salah is thinking. Nick Pope is in goal. Trippier is fit. The defense is pretty alright. The only things that could possibly make it an easy game for Liverpool is Saint-Maximin being injured. There's also Bruno Guimaraes who's out. So Callum Wilson is also out, but that's up front. I think doesn't really affect the defense that much. So yeah, I think I'm gonna captain Haaland. Right, that was a 5-minute monologue. Yeah, but I think I'm pretty set. All right, now I'm gonna answer the questions. Don't know if I should go bold and captain Bernardo Silva. I think that's too much of a risk, Mr. Magical Man. Paul, let me try to pronounce this. Sol Dondolo. Paul Sol Dondolo says, between Salah or Jesus, who should I captain? Salah, right? If it's Salah and Jesus, then Salah. But Salah and Haaland, then I would do Haaland. After that monologue, at least. Archer to Haaland and Luis Diaz for Salah. Right, so you're taking out... Oh, I get what you mean now, Sync XD, right? You're talking about bringing Haaland up and taking out Salah. I feel like in general you just can't. I don't think you should take Salah out. I think there's potential rotation for Haaland as well. So it's one of the moves. I think it's not out of the possibilities, but I could ship Haaland out. If that happens and if I ship Haaland out, then yeah, I mean I don't think I would jump on. I would take a hit or I would sell Salah to bring Haaland in at this point. So Salah for KDB, do you think is worth it? If you're wildcarding soon, I think it's okay. But Salah has good fixtures coming up, so you gotta hope that KDB can kind of make that up. I have Henderson in goal, so it's basically Arsenal defense or Brighton defense. I see. Then Brighton defense. I think Brighton defense. So Dunk would be my favorite. Or if you're not enough money, 0.1 cheaper would be Estupiñán. How about just playing Trippier against Liverpool? I wouldn't do that. Come on. Marcus says 90 minutes of Salah over 60 minutes of Haaland. You see, the potential for Salah to actually haul at Anfield is also there. You see, so it's tough. But I would say so lah. I would say 90 minutes I would say that 60 minutes of Haaland is better than 90 minutes of Salah. considering their fixtures, right? If you just talk about the minutes, I think it's you got to put it in the context, right? 90 minutes of Salah against Newcastle, 60 minutes of Haaland against Nottingham Forest. I take my chances. And I go for Haaland. Son or Kane, magical man. Kane, for sure, Kane. 90 minutes of Kane is better than both. Kane has West Ham. I don't think that's a super easy fixture for them. Right. I think we have been on this captaincy talk for a while. Right, let's go back to the my team. Right. I think I'm gonna leave it as it is. I don't think I'm just gonna leave James in the starting 11, but he's not gonna play. So that's okay. Yeah, guys. 6 minutes to the deadline. Any last minute captaincy changes? Man. Haaland captain. I think Haaland captain. Marcus says I can't decide. Same here. I mean, it's 6 minutes to the deadline. I'm sat here thinking whether I want to do... I mean, I convinced myself to do Haaland already. I feel like I'm going to stick with that. Renegade Wolf says Haaland worth the risk to captain. Yeah. Anyone else? I feel the same way, right, Renegade Wolf? Anyone else had Leon Bailey in the start? I did have Leon Bailey in the start. I think a lot of us had. But he just went straight out. Adil says, keep Neto or sell for Gross, which means that I'll have to do Ramsdale to Sanchez. For a hit, if it's not for a hit, I think that's okay. But if it's for a hit, I wouldn't. Adil, yeah. I mean, you have 5 minutes more, man. Adil, I hope it helps. I hope I'm helping you. Right, when he says 5 minutes to deadline, yes, 5 minutes to deadline. Marcus says, you're low-key convincing me too. What do we do, guys? Haaland captain or Salah captain? Haaland. I mean, I gotta go Haaland. Not sure if you guys enjoy just watching me debate in my head. If you guys enjoy this, please do leave a like on the stream, yeah. Neto or Gross? Gross. No hit, 2 free transfers. Adil, I would. You have 4 minutes though. Especially if you have no other pressing transfers, I would. Right, it seems like you don't have the funds to do... what you call that? You don't have the funds to do Neto to Rodrigo. So then Gross is just the next best alternative already. You already have Gundogan. So triple Man City can probably make captaining Salah worthwhile. Man. We have 4 minutes. I just foresee Man City versus Nottingham Forest to be a windfall. And Newcastle and Liverpool just not being a game that is going to be very high scoring. And one of the guys said in the chat as well, I just like the ceiling. And that's why, yeah, I think I'm going to take my chances. I'm just going to go with Haaland. Yeah. Magical Man says, I had Haaland in the first 2 game weeks, transferred him out for Kane in the last 2. This week I'm going to captain Jesus. Alright, I think he's been doing pretty well, Haaland. So I hope you managed to make it up. Kane managed to make up a little bit of returns for you last game week as well. So yeah. Salah will get his revenge from the last fixture, I guess. And I'm not sure. You see, there's so many things going on. It's 2 minutes to the deadline, guys. There's so many things going on Twitter saying that because Salah is gonna get poked at or made fun of in the dressing room. He's not going to take this lying down. And because of that, he's going to haul against Newcastle. And all this talk about how Salah should be captain because of that. I just don't buy that. I just don't buy that. Yeah. Alright, Marcus is on Haaland captain. I think I've had enough debating. I'm just gonna go with this. Right, Ryan goal, Trent, James. Let me just check my team. It's 2 minutes to the deadline. You guys should be checking your teams as well. Raya in goal, Trent, James, Cancelo, Perisic. James is not gonna play, so Andreas first on the bench is gonna come on. Right, let me just be sure and refresh this. Right, okay, Andreas first on the bench, so it's gonna come in for James. We have Gundogan, Salah, Martinelli, Groves, and then Jesus and Haaland captain. Salah vice captain. All right, that's it, guys. I'm locked in. Andreas, yeah. Gross or Rodrigo? If I could choose, Rodrigo. Well, this quick fire. It's only 1 minute. Pauls, Mikus, Pauls. If I could choose, Rodrigo. Trippier to a defender, or Bailey to Gross. 1 minute to the deadline, guys. Trippier. I would keep Trippier, but if you have to play him, right? If you want to do the swap, then I would do Dunk if you don't have Sanchez. If not, I'll do Saliba if you don't have Ramsdale. Right, 1 minute. Mendy or Sanchez in goal. Mendy. Jesus or Kane vice captain. If you're captaining Salah, Jesus vice captain. 1 minute to deadline. It doesn't matter how your subs are ordered. Of course it matters. The first sub is gonna come on, right, for the player that is, let's say James isn't playing, right, then Andreas just comes straight in. Yeah, so that's how the automatic substitutions work. Yeah, I just kept James in there because in general I have kind of got I got kind of played by the news, I guess, right, because in the end sometimes all the news is wrong, and then if you'd rather play James if somehow he starts, right. It's done, lads. No point. The website is already down. Let me refresh. Oh man, guys. Salah versus Haaland is on. Salah versus Haaland is on. I think for those of you guys in the chat, right? Let's if you're still here, let's just do a poll. Did you captain Haaland or Salah? Or someone else? Alright, let's do this. Salah, Haaland, and others. Alright, go ahead, guys. Go ahead. Go and vote in the poll. Let's see who you captained. I mean, absolutely. I did Salah, I regret it already. Gundogan captain and green arrow every week. Wow. Salah 38%, Haaland 38%, others 25%. Oh my gosh. Alright guys, it's done. We are done. Let's call it a day. I think we call it a day. Right, I hope you guys have a good Gameweek 5. Thank you guys for joining me on this very tough deadline stream. Trying to decide whether you want to cap Haaland or Salah or whoever. Whew. It is tough. Cannon Father says, good luck guys, not so much because I want a rank to go up. Whitney says Salah for me too. I mean, so many people on Salah, 44%. And this is what I expected, right? I expected Salah Sorry. That's not what I expected. I expected Haaland to be much higher, Salah to be close second. Right, so this is interesting. This is different from what I expected. Alright guys, thank you so much for joining. If you haven't already, please like the stream, subscribe if you're new to the channel. If you like to come for deadline streams, if you like to watch if you like to watch the content on this channel, please subscribe. It really helps me. It really gives me the motivation to make more videos for you guys. Right? Have fun until Wednesday to see if Haaland starts or not. This is insane. I mean, if he doesn't start, may have bottled the captaincy decision. Alright, thank you guys for watching. Alright, see you guys in the Gameweek 6. Look, the deadlines are coming so quick. I'll see you guys in the Gameweek 6 content. Right, try to get as much content out as possible, but there's such a tight turnover. Right? I'll see what kind of videos I can put up for you. Right, but for now, thank you guys for watching. Like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys very soon. Bye bye.